Shalom, Erev Tov, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Israel's security cabinet has approved Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's proposal for defeating Hamas. European governments and institutions are urging Israel to reconsider its decision of conquering the Gaza Strip. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance says he does not know what recognition of the State of Palestine would actually mean. Israel's security cabinet has approved Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's proposal for defeating Hamas. Prior to the meeting of the security cabinet, which began yesterday at approximately 6 p.m. and lasted for well over 10 hours, Netanyahu gave an interview to Fox News, during which he expressed his intentions vis-à-vis the Gaza Strip.
Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas. And you were in the Gaza Strip today. You met Palestinians who are fighting Hamas because finally they see that they have a future. They can rid themselves of this awful tyranny that not only holds our hostages, but holds 2 million Palestinians in Gaza hostage. That's got to end.
Are you saying today that you will take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip, as it was 20 years ago to this month in 2005?
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life.
A vigorous debate ensued during the Security Cabinet meeting in Jerusalem, during the course of which IDF Chief of General Staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, presented separate options that would enable a final push to eradicate the Islamist Hamas once and for all. And while senior sources told TV7 that a vigorous debate included tense exchanges between some of the cabinet ministers and military representatives, the political security cabinet within Israel's democratic system ultimately decides. Meanwhile, at the culmination of the meeting, the Prime Minister's office released a statement in which it announced that the security cabinet, by majority vote, adopted the 5 principles for concluding the war: 1. The disarming of Hamas; 2. The return of all hostages, the living and the deceased; 3. The demilitarization of the Gaza Strip; 4. Israeli security control in the Gaza Strip; and 5. The establishment of an alternative civil administration that is neither Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority. The statement further notes that the IDF will prepare for taking control of Gaza City while distributing humanitarian assistance to the civilian population outside the combat zones. Moreover, in light of the separate leaks from the Security Cabinet, which acknowledged the previously referred to heated debates, the Prime Minister's office sought to clarify that a decisive majority of Security Cabinet ministers believed that the alternative plan that had been submitted to the Security Cabinet would neither achieve the defeat of Hamas nor the return of the hostages. It is important to know that while the Security Cabinet approved a plan to temporarily conquer the Gaza Strip, the approved plan includes a gradual escalatory offensive which would leave room for diplomacy that will include Hamas's surrender and the immediate release of all hostages who've endured over 672 days in Hamas captivity since October 7th of 2023. Meanwhile, multiple European governments and institutions have released statements condemning Israel's Security Cabinet decision and urging Jerusalem to change course. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who merely stressed that the Israeli government's decision must be reconsidered without giving any additional details as to why, Dutch Foreign Minister Casper Veldkamp insisted that the Israeli decision does not contribute to demands to immediately improve the catastrophic humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, as he put it, nor does it help to get the hostages home. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, for his part, also claimed that Jerusalem's decision will do nothing to bring an end to the conflict and insisted that it will only bring more bloodshed. The British Prime Minister further highlighted that London, quote, "Together with our allies, we are working on a long-term plan to secure peace in the region as part of a two-state solution and ultimately achieve a brighter future for Palestinians and Israelis." He did warn, however, that without both sides engaging in good faith in negotiations, that prospect is vanishing before our eyes. Meanwhile, in response to Prime Minister Keir Starmer's ultimatum for Israel, which essentially demands an end to the war, or else the UK would join France in recognizing a Palestinian state by September, it has now been revealed that Israel is considering canceling security cooperation with the United Kingdom if London would move ahead with its decision to recognize a Palestinian state. According to a report on Time magazine, Israel is also considering another possible response. Consequently, British officials have warned of severe consequences of severing the Israel-British security cooperation, stressing that Britain has much to lose. It is important to know that a senior official who asked to remain anonymous revealed to TV7 that the U.S. administration actually backs Israel's position vis-à-vis the Gaza Strip. Therefore, in statements relayed by U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee earlier today, the American diplomat stressed that President Trump remains supportive of Israel's right to defend itself.
Up until this very moment, the position of the president has been that he respects that Israel has a right to defend itself. It has a right to determine how it does that. Certainly, we're a partner with Israel. We care very much about the way things go forward. But it's never been the role of the U.S. to dictate Israel's policy any more than it would be the policy of Israel to dictate our policy.
Ambassador Huckabee went on to highlight that he is quite baffled by the fact that Western state actors are not laying the blame with Hamas, which is essentially responsible for the humanitarian catastrophe in the Gaza Strip.
The president has made pretty clear that his biggest concern is that there is a humanitarian crisis and that something has to be done to urgently break the logjam. He's frustrated that Hamas has not been willing to reach any type of reasonable settlement. He's been very clear, I speak of the president now, that Hamas can't stay, they can't rule. It's time for them to disarm. It's time for them to give up and let all hostages go. That's been his position. So that position is consistent with everything he said. I don't understand why some of these other nations are once again putting all the pressure on Israel and why they're not putting the pressure on Hamas to let the hostages go, all of them, including the ones that are clearly starving. That's what I think we all scratch our heads over.
Meanwhile, in London, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance was hosted by British Foreign Secretary David Lammy, during the course of which they discussed the situation in the Gaza Strip in particular and the Middle East at large, among others. Ahead of their talks, Vice President Vance highlighted that he does not know what recognition of a Palestinian state would actually mean.
Well, it's one of the things that we're going to talk about. Obviously, the United Kingdom is going to make its decision. We have no plans to recognize a Palestinian state. I don't know what it would mean to really recognize a Palestinian state, given the lack of a functional government there. You know, what the president has made very clear is our two goals are very simple right now vis-a-vis the situation in Israel and Gaza. Number one, we want to make it so that Hamas cannot attack innocent Israeli civilians ever again, and we think that has to come through the eradication of Hamas. Second, the president has been very moved by these terrible images of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, so we want to make sure that we solve that problem. I think all of us can work on how to solve that problem. Obviously, it's not an easy problem to solve, or it would have already been dealt with, but we share, I think, that focus and that goal. We may have some disagreements about how exactly to accomplish that goal, and we'll talk about that today.
Meanwhile, in Washington, State Department Deputy Spokesman Tommy Pigott warmly welcomed the Lebanese government's decision to have its military disarm the Iranian proxy Hezbollah. Nevertheless, in light of the complexity of the situation, he did caution Beirut that ultimately the credibility of Lebanon's government rests on its ability to match principle with practice.
The United States welcomes the Lebanese government's decision on Tuesday to task the Lebanese armed forces with a plan to bring all weapons under state control by the end of the year. This is an important step towards Lebanese sovereignty. We continue to watch developments in Lebanon very closely. Special Envoy Tom Barrack made it clear what the president needs to see. As long as Hezbollah retains arms, words will not suffice. The Lebanese armed forces must fully commit and act now to fully implement the government's decision. The credibility of Lebanon's government rests on its ability to match principle with practice.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Amid Hamas's continued refusal to reach any type of reasonable settlement with the State of Israel, I would like to encourage you to pray fervently for the hostages in Hamas captivity. Moreover, please also pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. And separately, if you're blessed by our daily programs, I'd like to encourage you to support TV7 Israel, which is exclusively donation-based. You can do so through donation via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hessen, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom U'Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.